Hi, everyone. I'm here with Shanti. If you're ready, Shanti, I will start out asking the first question. Okay,
Yeah.
great. So, can you give a brief description of your musical background in general? What musical genres are you into the most, and what instruments do you play, and so on?
Okay, so basically, I always, in my family, we always sang traditional music, which is called bhajans, which come from India. So we always sang it, but we have no musical knowledge particularly. Like it was really a family thing. So then it was like 2 years ago, I started to really get into music, and particularly Indian music in general. And so I started learning many instruments. Like I would say I started with harmonium. And then I believe I started with harmonium, and then I came to keyboard.
Okay.
And then I started to learn zither, the chord thing. Okay, so I played with many instruments to try and understand how does music work, and how does it relate to our emotions. So that was my thing.
Okay.
I'm really into music and emotions, and especially in Indian music. It is really emphasized. So that's very interesting. And I would say I'm into every kind of music you can imagine. What interests me is the depth of music in general, I would say. And yeah, and I am really interested in harmony, especially, but I never could understand how harmony works. So I always wanted to know how it works. Yeah.
Okay, so you actually right now you're mostly playing the piano.
Yeah.
Okay.
Piano.
And so, as far as musical genres, so every musical genre, basically pop, as pop, Indian music, also maybe classical music, are genres that you play, that you are into.
Mostly, I would say the modern music, like Arabic music, Indian, more classical Indian music, not so much Bollywood, not so much, more so classical music. So with the ragas and everything. And as far as Western music, I would say more like jazz, blues, more modal music, basically. But what is interesting is in modal music, there is not so much harmony, like chords and everything. But I'm interested in chords, like, for example, in jazz. Okay. So this is more I don't know if, like, there's no genres, basically.
Yeah. You're across
the mix of all of this.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. So, next question is, what was your process for developing your musical hearing skills prior to using Use Your Ear?
So basically, I tried for like 2 weeks an interval app, and I was like, this makes no sense. So I just left it, because I was feeling like, how can you understand the distance between two notes? So I just left it out, and then I just went with playing. I was playing on the instruments and trying to understand, how does this feel? How does this feel? How does this feel? And that's how I approached it, I would say.
Okay, that's great. And so, were there any particular cons or disadvantages related to that process, as far as you remember? You can talk about the
Interval.
intervals and also the other process that you tried before signing up.
So as far as interval, I would say it made me understand that the context, the need of a context. I don't know how to say it. The need for a context in music, like atonal notes makes no sense. That I understood thanks to the interval method, because I was like, how am I supposed to know which note is which if there is no reference?
Okay,
so that made me understand.
One of the disadvantages was that the absence of a context.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, the absence of a context. And if you can remember other disadvantages that you experienced with the other method approach you tried before signing up.
So I never, except the apps on the phone, I never took music classes or anything like this. So I never had a proper teaching of music. I just went with playing on the instrument, trying to learn what I could on the instrument and everything. Okay. And what is really interesting is that in Indian classical music, we use a drone.
Okay.
And try to understand the 12 notes in the octave. So that was really amazing, because it made me understand this is what is lacking in the other method.
Okay.
So that was the pro. It was instantly I could feel this is the right way to approach music.
Okay.
So this is the pro, which made me understand later that this course is the same approach, kind of.
Yeah. In my course, you have some exercises that are similar, kind of similar to that kind of thing that you are talking about. So great. Next question is, what challenges or problems were you experiencing that led you to search for a solution?
Honestly, I wasn't searching for a solution. I just saw the ad on YouTube.
Okay.
And when I watched all of the free content that is on the website,
okay,
I was like, this is what I need. Because so the thing that I had is, I knew I was lacking a piece of basic understanding of music.
Yeah.
But I didn't know where that piece of the puzzle was.
Okay.
And which one was it. And I feel like it's the ear. And so when I went on the website and I watched every single free video that there was,
okay,
I understood this is it. And that's what made me sign up for the course.
Okay, that's great. So you weren't searching for a particular, you hadn't a specific problem, but once you heard about the method, it got you interested, basically. Because okay, that's great. Okay, so the next question is related to this one. What were the criteria you used when making the decision of signing up? Why do you think you made that decision?
I know, because there were a few words or vocabulary that you used, and I searched on internet and I could not find it anywhere. So basically it was keys colors, triadic colors, all of these words. I never heard them before. And I was like, what is this? So I searched on internet and I could not find anything. But when I watched the videos that you put freely on the website, I was like, this makes so much sense. And I tried on the piano, and instantly I could feel this makes so much sense, triadic colors and everything. And so it took me 2 days to watch the whole free content, and I took notes and everything. And I felt like this is it. This has already changed my perspective on it. So this is what made me say, yeah, that's the right way to approach music.
That's great. So basically, you kind of experienced what I was explaining in the free content via your piano, and by repeating what I was basically suggesting to do, to experiment with those kinds of things and
exactly
perceive them, and you were perceiving what I was saying.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. And so, how long have you been following the Use Your Ear method?
It's been a month, I think, a month and a week, something like this.
Yeah. Okay. What type of goals do you want to accomplish using this method? I mean, in terms of long-term goals, what do you want to be able to do?
Basically, I would like to be able to play whatever I feel like on the piano. That my goal was, in the beginning, my goal was to become a really good piano player, to be able to express everything that I have to say without speaking, with music. So my goal would be, I would say, with this method, to get my ear and my thinking musically to a level where I can hear what I think and think what I hear.
Yeah.
Like, for everything to be one global thing.
Yeah.
Whereas right now it's more like sometimes I feel like I want to play things, but I am not able to, because my ear and my thinking, they are not on the same page sometimes. And I feel like I would like them to keep growing in a way where they just become one. I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Okay, maybe if I can help, if that can help you, I don't know if that's the same point you're trying to convey. You want to achieve a more intuitive connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
Connection with music. So you want to be able to instinctively and intuitively react to your ideas and your feelings and put them in a musical form without having to go through an headache in order to figure out what you want to play. Okay.
And also, yeah, that's correct. And also another thing is I am trying, and I feel like this is kind of difficult, but it comes with time. I am trying to be able to play whatever I hear. So if I hear something that I like, I want to be able to play it instantly.
Okay.
And I feel like that's one of my goals also, to be able to play whatever I hear directly, or sing it. Yeah.
To recognize and to play whatever, to play by ear, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
What mean to play by ear. Okay. That's great. So what was the most obvious advantage you felt the Use Your Ear method offered compared to other methodologies, such as intervals or whatever other methodologies you tried?
So basically, I would say that the biggest advantage is that it reconnects music with its essence, which is sensations. It is not something which is logical and mathematical. When we listen to music, I feel like it's sensations, it's feelings, it's emotions. And when we try to learn it by intervals, it is like taking music out of its context,
right?
And trying to explain it, like chopping it into pieces, when really it is way more complex than that. So I feel like, okay. I feel like the biggest thing is that it reconnects music to its essence, and it makes us able to understand music way more deeply than just taking music and putting it out of its context. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. And so, were there any other advantages you discovered after following this method regularly? Something in your playing, it can be something unexpected generally.
I would say not unexpected, but unexpected that how quickly it came is the fact that now I can hear the tonic in any context, in any song, in any music, any type of music, anything, which to me is mind-blowing, because whether it's Indian classical music, whether it's Western music, whether it's any music you can imagine, I can hear clearly the tonic. And it is something very intuitive. So that quickly, it came that quickly, that was really impressive to me.
Okay, that's great. And by following the course, have you noticed any reduced effort or boredom in your training routine, practicing routine compared to what you were doing previously?
Yeah, I would say it gave me much more discipline, and also since you have fixed exercises that you can choose from,
Yeah.
you can vary. So sometimes you can do this one.
Yeah.
You can mix and match how you want. As you like, if I feel like I need to get better at melodic recognition, I can do this exercise or this one or this one. And so the fact that you're able to have a framework, but at the same time, you yourself choose which one to do.
Yeah.
I feel like it gives confidence to be able to auto-evaluate, I would say.
Oh, that's great. So let's talk about improvements. Have you noticed any improvements since you started practicing with the course? I mean, improvements in your musical hearing skills, obviously. And if so, what? You talk about the tonic. Sorry, you talked about the tonic, and
so I talked about the tonic, but there are two other main things that I just noticed. The first one is before I was not really able to understand harmony. So when I heard chords, I would feel it. I would hear it, obviously, but I would not understand what is going on and what is the difference between this chord and this chord and this, and how do you mix and match them? What is happening basically in the harmony part of this song? I was not able to understand that, but I really loved it. So I would say that the thing that really impressed me is the fact that now I am able to recognize in songs, and if just chords are just played like this, I'm able to recognize the difference between major, minor, diminished chords, or the tonic chord. I'm able to know, okay, this is the tonic chord.
Okay.
And this, and that's mind blowing to me. And also something else, I would say, it's the fact that when I listen to music, I feel like now it is so much deeper because I can understand the different layers of music, how it interacts with each other, and how it connects to create this whole of music.
So you mean how harmony and melody?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great, and that's true also. So I mean, it's true in I mean, that harmony and melodies are always connected together, and there's no way to kind of take them apart. It's, depending on the harmony, so a certain melody will fit in that kind of harmony, or another melody will kind of sound bad. Okay, so they go together. You cannot take them apart. That what I wanted to say. So talking about improvements, do you think is there a way that you can measure or quantify them? I mean, for example, you can say how much time it takes for you to do a particular exercise right now compared to the beginning, or how many mistakes you get in a particular exercise compared to the beginning, something like that. Do you think there is something you can say about that?
Yeah, so I would say if we compare the time spent to try and get better, basically, with the improvements, it is to me it is amazing, because I spend around, I would say, 20 to 30 minutes a day on it.
Okay.
And the improvement is really phenomenal to me. And I feel like what is interesting is the fact that I discovered with practicing, basically, that what is important is more regularity. So the fact that, basically it made me discover the importance of regularity, even if it's just 10 minutes, but to do it every day. And this makes the progress much quicker. So I saw that before, for example, because before I would get the same improvement I get now in 2 weeks, in a month, or in 2 months, because I was not understanding how it works to get better quickly. Yeah. But now I can see like, okay, for example, I will take the example. In the beginning, when I was practicing the exercises of the first, I would say, 2 units.
Okay.
I was kind of frustrated in the beginning, because I was like, I'm not good at this. But then I kept going, and I saw that 3 or 4 days later, I was able to get almost all of the answers correct. So that meant you just need to familiarize with it, and get to know it, and then you get better. Yeah. So that's really changed my perspective on practicing.
Yeah, and if I can add something, you're saying an interesting thing that happens all the time, because people are usually they usually don't think in the way that is suggested in the course before signing up. So you kind of need to change a bit and familiarize with this new way of thinking and of approaching music, which is more sensation based. So it's kind of, you're focusing on the sensations, and you're not doing math calculations in your head. So it's very different from what most people are used to do. But that doesn't mean it's not effective. On the contrary. So, and what you're saying is that just by familiarizing with this new way of thinking, in a few days, you can get your mind to kind of grasp onto this topic. And what happens is that once you do that, once you go through that initial process of getting used to this new way of thinking, then your mind will kind of use these processes and repeat these processes in the background also when you hear and you listen to real music, when you play some music without practicing your training. Even though you're not practicing your training, you're playing music, you're listening to music, and your mind does instinctively, you kind of use those kinds of mental processes.
Exactly.
And everything keeps reinforcing, and everything keeps growing and developing. Also, if you're not practicing directly the exercises.
Exactly.
So
yes.
there's this side effect to take into account.
Exactly. Yes. And I feel like it's what is interesting is the fact that basically we just have to approach it like learning a new language. In the beginning, it's just like very we don't understand anything. And then we start to catch on little words, and then we start to understand a phrase. And I feel like music is the same way. In the beginning, it's very blurry, and we listen to things and we feel like it's so beautiful, but I cannot understand what is happening. And then with time, we start to hear the tonic. We start to be able to separate harmony and melody and understand how they work together. So I feel like that's, like, for example, a really simple example. It was 3 days ago or 4 days ago. I was in the car and I was listening to music. And then instinctively, I started to sing the tonic. And I was like, what is happening to me? Because it was the first time that it just came. And that's because I used to do it in the exercises.
Yeah.
So it means that the brain alone, he does his own thing.
Yeah.
Listening to music, he recreates the same environment that is created in the exercises. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Because you kind of experience and you familiarize with the sound of the tonic in the exercises, which is a kind of protected environment where you have a few variables and you don't run the risk of making mistakes, or simplified, and it helps you to familiarize with the sound of the tonic. And then once you start to familiarizing with it, your brain will kind of recognize it in other music, because every musical piece has a tonic, basically, if we're talking about most of the Western or maybe also Indian and other music, they are tonal music, basically.
Yeah.
So it has a tonic, and you kind of recognize it because it's you have it in your mind, and you have familiarized with that kind of sound, with that sensation, and then your brain, without doing anything, it does the thing, okay? And that's why it works, because it really brings you to a more intuitive connection with music.
Yeah.
And that's what I think developing an intuitive connection with music. It's exactly like that. So familiarizing with music so that you can intuitively recognize it, and recognizing the elements when you listen to real music. But that's great. The language example was really great. Yeah. I think it's exactly on point. You grab onto a complex language bit by bit. You start grabbing a sentence and a word, and then you get used to it, and then everything expands and build from that. So it was, I think it was very true. And so you partially answered the next question in this explanation, but I'm going to ask you, and maybe you have to add something. So have you found the way of thinking that is suggested in this method as being effective when applied to real music?
Yeah, so basically that's what I was saying, that without realizing it, you are putting into practice what you are practicing in the practice sessions. Yeah. Like, for example, you are in your house doing the practice session, and then you are listening to music in your free time or whatever, in the car, like me, or anything. And then the brain goes on automatic mode and recreates the same context or the same frame, the same feeling that was created in the practice session, which to me is, I didn't even understand what is happening to me, because the brain does it automatically, which is interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. So, and of course, this question is related to the previous one. Do you think the way of thinking that I suggest is more easily applicable to real music than the thought processes suggested by, for example, the interval method or other methodologies that you were following?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely, because it is much more natural, I would say. To me personally, thinking of music logically it can never be natural, because when we listen to music, we are never thinking logically. We are always listening. So it's something else. The brain is not directly dissecting the music and chopping it into pieces like we are doing when learning it. So to me, that never made sense. And I never understood how you can learn music this way. I think that you can learn music only if you know how to listen. And for that, you need to have ear skills, like basically knowing how does this sound feel, how does this sound, what does this sound convey, how does these two sound work together. But to me, thinking what is the distance between two sounds can never be applied in real music. When will I feel like when will we use this? Never. So to me, this way of thinking, I believe it's the only way of thinking, basically, because music can never be, it can only be explained logically, but it can never be listened to logically.
It can never be perceived.
That's my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true, I think. So, do you think that developing your musical hearing skills also impacted other music-related skills? It can be your playing, your singing.
Oh yes, yeah, singing. Basically, yeah, singing and also playing. But I feel like for playing, it is a little bit less intuitive, because singing is our own body. Yeah. So I feel like it's way more, it's going to affect it way more, because it comes out and it expresses directly. It is directly connected to everything, the brain, the emotions, everything. But playing involves much more, like thinking about what you are playing. Yeah. But singing, it's much more, the connection is way quicker. So I feel like it has impacted my singing the most. Yeah.
Okay. So, what has most impressed you about the methodology that I suggest?
What has more impressed me is, I would say, the amount of work and information that is put in the course makes it so interesting, especially in the beginning. When we start out, there is so much information about the perception mechanism, so much research, like the scientific research that is shown. And also just the fact that when you are demonstrating the exercises, it just makes sense. You're watching it, you're like, yeah, that's how it works. Because you're directly experiencing it. You don't have to practice it for weeks to say, okay, this is the right way to do it. For me, it was like this. I was like looking at the exercise and saying, okay, I know that's going to work because I can connect with it. I can feel it already, so I don't need proof, because it's already proved itself, basically. And I would say, what impressed me the most was all the explanations about perception mechanism, the all the work with tonal framework, all of this is, to me, was the most impressive thing about the course. Yeah.
That's great. And the next is a similar question. What aspect of the course do you think has been the most helpful to you?
I would say the part where tonic framework and tone, like everything about tonality is explained in the beginning, because I feel like this is the basis for everything else to be built on. So once you have understood it and really like internalized it, basically the rest just comes to build on it. So this is the part that is most crucial. And I think it's sad that most people who are learning music, they are not really directly understanding that music is all about context. And this, when I heard this part of the course, when I listened to the videos and everything, I heard music is all about context. That's the part that changed my way of thinking about music in general.
Yeah. Okay, so you're referring to the part where I explain how to internalize the basic musical elements included in the basic tonal context. You're referring to that?
Yeah, and where the part where you have to recognize tonic chord and tonic in real songs.
Yeah.
Tonic in real songs also, because it's two different ways of applying it.
Yeah, it changes a little bit. Yeah, that's great. So last question. Do you plan to continue following this method in the future?
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So I don't know if you have anything to add. If not, I thank you very much for letting me know about, for letting me have this interview with you. So thanks. And I hope.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, yeah, I feel like this, if anyone wants to develop relative pitch, basically this is one of the best methods that can be applied, because it is so well constructed. So I feel like with the amount of work and the amount of sincerity that is put inside of this work, this method, I feel like it will become a staple in learning, because I wasn't expecting that much. I wasn't expecting that much with it. I was thinking it's going to be good, but I was not thinking that it was going to be that good. So it is so much more intuitive and effective for everyone. Like, it's not just for one or two people, it's for everyone. I feel like it's so much more effective than interval or anything and any other method that exists, that, yeah, I feel like it will certainly become a staple in learning. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really appreciate that you let me have this interview with you, and I hope you get lots of results from the course, and I hope to see you in the future. So thank you very much. And
thank you.
Have a good day.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Be blessed. Yeah.